What is up, guys? Fado82 coming at you with another edition of Rust Cribs, in which we take a look at some base designs from the US Rustopia server. This series also focuses on taking a look at building and trends in Rust. With each iteration of Rust, things shift in Rust, players build differently and adapt to different changes in the game. When we talk about that, we talk about best practices, what to do, what not to do in building a base. And one of the things that you guys have been asking for so long with the Rustopia Cribs series is, Fado, we want to see smaller bases that smaller teams can build, and that's what we're going to start off showing you here, is a base that can be put together by a team of about 4 to 5 men, which is an average team in Rust. So this isn't a clan of 20 members who had to put this base together, but it's a really well thought through base design, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the things they're doing here. Notice on the roof they have stairs there, and you might wonder, why are there stairs on the roof if they're not leading to anything? These are sort of battle stations so that the players can get up those stairs to gain a vantage point outside into that compound, to shoot and get back down to the roof in a quicker fashion. They're really effective when it comes to defending the base, so something you always want to employ in your base designs if you can. Take a look at the wall placement here, and notice, guys, that they're sort of double bagging it with the walls there. Something you always want to do, layer it up with as many layers of the stone and wood perimeter walls as you can. They're very hard to get through, very resource intensive, so the more that you do that to prevent people from getting to your front door is very important. They also used a modified elevator system, as you can see there, with the twig tiles, and outside those squares are building cabinets to extend out their building radius. Inside, guys, we're actually given permission to film in here, and we're going to go ahead and show you off some of the interiors with bases in this particular base. And players are very creative with signs. You can see the players here have a restroom, complete with a toilet and a sink, and a sign that is very important to these players. Hygiene is very important to them, so it says wash your hands and your penis. Don't forget about the penis, guys. And taking a look at the other signs here, you'll notice that they have each box labeled so they know where everything goes. This is something a lot of players employ with the signs to be able to be very well organized. And the biggest thing here, guys, is that the players each have their own individual rooms here. So the team members have their own individual flair, they have their own personality, and this is really cool. In the last dev blog, they talked about adding the ability in the future to be able to modify the interiors of the bases, the walls, with carpets, with wallpapers and things like that. But right now, players do it by hand with signs, and it's really cool to see their own individual aesthetic. This is a good room here to trip out on some mushrooms or acid. Really cool, really trippy, and it's really nice to see players bring that individual flair to it. As you guys can see, this is a smaller end base than we usually see in Rustopia Cribs, but this is what you guys wanted to see, so we're going ahead and showing you that, and it's a really cool design. And here's another example of a smaller end base that you can put together with just a few people. This base design I really like because it's really sort of succinct and to the point. It has a main base, and then behind it has a quarry that's walled off. So it has one quarry going, and then the main base as well. I really like the cylindrical base design. This base was really cool the way that it was set up because it has a lake in front of it, which is a place that typically raiders aren't going to come from, so there's sort of a natural bottleneck there. And then the base was designed so that on the top it has almost a 360-degree radius so that the defenders can see in any given point at any point in time. That's really important to have in your base designs if you can go ahead and pull that off. Take note, guys, that this base was actually raided, so there were some things that they could have done differently, and it was raided, I think, relatively early in the wipe cycle on the server. There was a lot of death in this base, but you can see that there's some raiders in here right now sort of taunting the base defenders, going through their loot, and you never want that to happen. So some of the things they could have done differently are honeycomb the base a little bit better and use the outer perimeter walls, the stone walls, exterior walls, to be able to layer that up a little bit more like we saw in the first base design. This here, guys, is another example of a smaller end base comparable to the one that we just saw. And notice here that they're using barricades and also walls to bottleneck and funnel the way that raiders would be able to come through the base and the way that the members can access the base as well. This is stuff that you guys always want to go ahead and employ if you're able to do so. And now we're going to go ahead and take a look at some higher end compounds that were put together by some larger clans. The Wrecked crew, which is a relatively new crew to Rustopia, put together an absolutely sprawling pyramid base design here. And there's something about a pyramid, guys, that really, I think, taps into us on sort of a primal level. Pyramids appeared across cultures in terms of that sort of collective unconscious that Carl Jung spoke about. But in general, guys, pyramids are awesome base designs. It's hard to predict where things are going to be in a pyramid. Yes, most likely they're going to be in the center, but who knows? With this massive scope of the space here, this huge footprint, who knows where the loot rooms are, and it's really a difficult base to raid. Notice that, again, they're using those high exterior stone walls. I can't impress upon you guys the importance of doing that enough, and that's really helping them to sort of wall off this compound, and the base itself is walled off separately from the quarries and the pump jacks, which is important to do if you can. They have a sign here displaying their clan name, which is the Wrecked clan, and that's a really cool thing that a lot of groups will do when they have extra resources, is build sort of a idol to themselves. They usually it's their clan tag or something to that effect. Dirt McGurk did a Hollywood Hills sign a while back, pretty good stuff. Also doing a take on a quasi sort of pyramid base design was LQM. LQM is second to none in terms of their base designs, and this was a really awesome design that they put together. It looks a lot like a pyramid, but it has a huge tower coming out of it as well. And this is something that, when you guys look at it, it's again a hard base to predict how to go ahead and raid it. Where are the loot rooms? Are they in that main base? Are they in a secondary base? And when you're trying to raid a base like this, there's a lot of places for the members to shoot from, lots of windows in that tower, which is something that is really difficult to be able to defend, to be able to have an offense against in terms of when they're defending it. Looking at the scope of that tower, guys, you can see just how high it goes. It's a bit of a Tower of Babel. They're just going higher and higher. They started losing stability towards the top because it got so high. They were ballsy and they walled off a rad town, which is always a gutsy move to do. So they went ahead and did that. That's always a point of contention on a server, but it's something that groups will do, and it creates a bit of a challenge and a flashpoint on the server. So that's always cool to see. And last but not least, we have the LST crew here, which again put together a sprawling compound that looks like a university campus. They have many buildings here that you guys will go ahead and look at. Each has its own form and function, and there are flank towers here spread around the compound to allow those defenders to always be able to have a vantage point inside that compound and also outside the compound as well. Their main base here looks like some sort of a medieval castle, has many different shooting ports from it, and it's a really effective base design in terms of when they're going to be defending against that. It has a main tower in the middle, which goes higher than those secondary towers, but the secondary towers as well are really good points to defend against. You'll notice here, guys, when you're taking a look at this compound, that it's an absolutely sprawling compound, and when we take that eye in the sky perspective, you can really see the scope of it and get a sense of how many players actually work together to put this type of a base design into reality. In terms of the bases, guys, each one again has its own form and function, so some are more functional than others, and some are more of experimental designs. They have an arena here which members would fight in, which was really cool to see. There were some interesting fights that took place there, mainly for bragging rights. And in terms of the compound, the way that it's laid out is one that has the quarries, the pump jacks walled off into their own separate workspaces, which are always things that you guys want to go ahead and do if you're able to do so. As we take a look, guys, and pan back out, just again get a sense of the scope of it all. It's something to really take in when we look at it from that bird's eye perspective, and you can really see sort of that aerial view and get a sense of just how massive these compounds can get. As always, guys, really hope you enjoy the Rustopia Cribs videos. As always, guys, Fado82, peace.